Here in episode 47 of The Kickin' Show, we finally get to talk about the official announcement with Brad Keselowski going into an ownership driver role with Roush Fenway.
Press conference that pretty much everybody knew was coming.
Plus, we have a roundtable discussion on what Ryan Newman can do, as Brad Keselowski will be taking over the number 6 car going into 2022.
Right now, what it sounds like, they offered him a part-time ride in a third non-chartered car.
Plus, we'll be sharing updates with the SRX series as they just had the finale this past weekend at Nashville Fairgrounds.
This was very well done.
And Supercross becomes one of the first motorsports series to release their 2022 schedule.
They have announced a full 2022 schedule, and we are returning to A1.
Seth Eggert also talks about some of the iRacing leagues, as well as some news for the console side of things, with IndyCar releasing one of their first console games in over a decade.
Motorsports Games also announced, for the first time in 17 years, an IndyCar console game will be made.
We'll be talking about New Hampshire Motor Speedway, both the start of the race and the end of the race, as we head into our 2-week Olympic break. Thanks for tuning in to The Kickin' Show.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to The Kickin' Show, the official podcast of Kicking the Tires. And we've got, as always, Seth Eggert on the show, Justin Schuoler out on the West Coast, because he kind of runs the thing behind the scenes and makes it all happen, and our movie star himself, Zach Catanzareti. How's it going in Charlotte, buddy?
Going good. We had a nice day. I spent most of the day out on the lake kayaking. It was beautiful. There was no one else out there. So since it's a work week still, so yeah, it's been doing good right here.
You and you weren't hanging out with any big time movie stars or anything?
No, not this week. It's been a little bit. I'm missing it, but it was still a fun week. Just not as fun as on a set, of course.
Well, obviously, this week is heading into the off week. The off 2 weeks for NASCAR as we take the Olympic break. But we will have to recap some of the events that have already happened this week. Seth was at the Keselowski Roush Fenway press conference that pretty much everybody knew was coming. I don't think we learned a whole lot in that, except we have a lot of questions. And, we had Seth there. We also had Lewis Frank there helping us out. And one of those questions, Seth, that a lot of people have is, where's Ryan Newman doing?
Right now, what it sounds like, they offered him a part-time ride in a third non-chartered car. At least that's the way it came across to me. So otherwise, he is a free agent.
What did they say as far as this announcement? How did this go down? And I think we're gonna kind of give our thoughts on what we think Newman should do, not what he may be actually doing. I'll see if I can reach out to him. But how did this go down from your perspective? They played it up pretty big at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it seems like that this has been in the works for several months. And Brad actually had stated he had several offers from different teams, essentially offering something along the same lines, driving and team ownership. And eventually, when he's done being competitive, or when he feels he's no longer competitive, to move into a full ownership role. And basically, for him, it was the right timing. It was the right opportunity, mainly because of the next-gen car coming in and the way the charter market is going right now. So he went and basically signed up with Roush. Roush and Fenway's group are not actually losing any of the percentage of the team that they're owning. The way it was described is they both own 50%. And Brad is getting an additional percentage. So it almost sounds like they went and created more stock to give to Brad.
So if you own 50% and I own 50%, and then I give Justin a percentage, and that must be the new math that they're teaching in schools now.
Don't get me started.
That doesn't add up.
Is that what they mean when they say they're given 110% or something?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Oh, this is common. This is that common core math.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, Zach, can I give you some extra shares in kicking the tires with that? You know, now keep in mind that I've already given 50% to Seth, and I've given some to Justin. Do you want some air shares too?
Air shares.
I think there's like different bowls going on. I think there's like 100% here, and then they gave Brad some other leg that they created. I don't know how that works, but yeah, Jay, if you own 100%, I don't know if there's anything left for me.
Okay, yeah. Well, I own 100% of kicking the tires, but you know what? Maybe we will start a stock share program going forward at some point in the future, as soon as we start making real money, and I'm not paying for it out of the marketing company. But we need a sponsor. We need somebody to sell sponsors. And before we continue on to this road, I do have just one little bit of news. Our friends at Andy's Custard, okay?
Who don't sponsor Cold Custer's car.
No, they're not going to sponsor his car. They're actually going to sponsor Austin Dillon's car, and they're going to sponsor AJ Allmendinger's car. But they have our video from our podcast, and they're looking at it. Now that can be good or bad, okay? But the folks at Andy's do have our video that we gave tribute to them after the the night that I ran out of Andy's because my wife ate all the good flavors and left me with just the extras. Now, look, they're all good flavors. Don't get me wrong. But I really, really, really wanted, the cookie dough. But, oh, well. So, but, I digress. Let's get back to Brad Keselowski and the new math at Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing.
Well, they actually haven't announced a name yet. It's still Roush Fenway Racing, and they said that there will be more announcements in the coming months as to whether the team name changes, logos. Basically, the only confirmed thing is Brad is going to be in the number 6 car. And the last time he drove a number 6, somebody actually went and looked this up. In an ARCA race, I think back in 2004, he drove a number 6.
So you remember that youth movement you were talking about pre-show?
Yes.
That's probably who went and looked that up. Because
probably
ain't none of us that have been around for 20 years would have even thought to do that. And I mean, I'm a pretty good investigative reporter, but it's like, yeah, okay. Well, Seth, you're our stat guy. Only you would go look that up. So you were the one that went.
Actually, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I saw it on Twitter.
Okay. Well, we don't know that it's right then because
it was a screenshot of the pre-race.
Okay, because I trust you implicitly, and if you say it, then it's true.
It was a screenshot of the pre-race, so I do believe it.
Okay. So
that being said, there was one specific quote, at least from Jack Roush, that stood out to me, was that he felt like the team ownership side of the sport is coming out of a dark age.
I can't disagree with him on that. I think parts of the sport are coming out of the dark age, but that's a whole different topic for probably a much longer show than we're going to have tonight and going into an off week. Guys, what do you think Ryan Newman, who is Superman, who survived the crash of death, okay, basically walked away 2 days later. What do you think he should go do besides buy a lottery ticket?
Be Keselowski's right-hand man. Absolutely. I mean, you got Keselowski, who's won championships, who's run the business of owning a very successful truck team in the short amount of time that he did. And you got Ryan Newman, who can very easily put his fabrication experience to good use and know how to make sure these cars are built to what Keselowski needs to go win races and win championships. And you put those two together, and they're just going to be unstoppable. It's going to be a powerhouse over there. That's what I ultimately would love to see happen, and I think he'd be a perfect fit over there.
Back your thoughts?
Yeah, it just depends what opportunities Roush gives him. I mean, I feel like Ryan would be, like Justin said, someone who would go that extra mile to help the team. That's helped him a lot over the last few years, and he's done a lot for them. Definitely a big what if would have been if Newman did win that 500 last year. I felt like he was really going to have a solid season, really good year. He impressed me a lot in 2019. I didn't expect anything from him next 6 car, just seeing how Roush had been at that time. I did not expect him to do well at all, and he did quite well. You know, he made the playoffs, and if he won Daytona, he would have been in the playoffs right away, and I'm sure it would have been that next step up. We saw Chris Buescher have good numbers last year, by far a career best season. So I feel like Newman would have even been better than that. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. And after Daytona, he just hasn't been the same on the racetrack, at least when it comes to performance standpoint. And if it is a part-time gig, that's good. That's good for him. I mean, I know he still loves racing, of course. He's still a lot of fun to watch on the track. And if Roush wants him, I feel like he's definitely someone who would stay, maybe not an ownership role, but just, as Justin said, a right-hand man type of deal for Brad, because I feel like they gel a lot, not just in their racing abilities, but just how they look at the sport from a business perspective. And they have all those different kinds of hats that they're able to wear. And Newman loves modifieds. I mean, I know I've had I've covered a couple of his modified racing, and he loves doing that. And there's not many Cup drivers who do quite a bit of modified racing. So I feel like that would be something fun for him. Maybe go down to the truck series a little bit. He just did the Bristol dirt race or tried to do it. He's got his rescue ranch back, that's outside of racing. So there's a lot of things that he can pursue after this, but I hope that he stays with Roush and he's still someone who we can see from the racetrack every week.
I'm going to give you my thoughts on this real quick. One thing about Newman is a lot of people don't know that, and maybe they do, but he's got an engineering degree, okay, from Purdue. He's smart. Brad is also very, very smart. So I could see where y'all could, put him as Brad's right-hand man, but I don't know if that's the type of personality that he has. I think he's a team player. But I'm going to give you some insight I'm going to give you some inside news into what happened at Roush before this announcement and stuff happened, came on. They brought Matt Kenseth in there to kind of help out in the drive and to kind of see where they were at on a level as far as how to get better. And they really didn't change. They brought Newman in to do the same thing. Roush Fenway Racing, whatever you want to call it, is no different now than it was 10, 15 years ago when it was just Roush Racing. And it kind of was from what I've been told from people inside the organization, they have a systemic problem of not knowing how to change. They are so far behind in advancing that they don't even know where to go. They don't know. It's like Matt Kenseth couldn't help them because Joe Gibbs' stuff is so good that he couldn't even give them trade secrets that they could copy. I know it's Ford and Toyota, it's different things, but he couldn't really. He could only take him so far, okay? And then you bring in Ryan, and you see a change. You see where Ryan was able to bring them to another level. They're still catching up. And I think in order for Roush Fenway Racing to get to this level, because they're way down here. I mean, I'm not afraid to take heat on this. They're a mid-pack car most weeks, and they've got to get new blood, new thought, new process, get away from the systemic, fear of change in order to get better.
And you're 100% right. You're 100% right, because it's not in the engine package, because you see them running up front. You see Newman almost battling for the lead almost every restrictor plate race. And you see the 17 of Chris Buescher up there almost every race. But yeah, when have you last seen, besides Homestead, when Buescher just went out there in the first half of the race and was walking away from the field? I mean, when have you seen a Roush car go out and compete for a win at an oval track?
You haven't. And the reason for that is as I was saying, they got themselves so far behind. And look, Doug Yates makes great engines. But if you have an organization, obviously their engines are good because Penske's winning. Okay. Stuart Haas was dominating. So when you have all of that, there's something else in the program. And that's what Brad can bring to this program, not only as an owner, but as a driver and a really smart person when it comes to racing. So you've got, if Ryan sticks around, that would be great, because he and Brad together can move that organization up higher on the ladder. So that's where I'm at on it. I don't know if Ryan will stay or if he'll take an offer somewhere else. I mean, granted, he's getting older, but he still wants to race. So does he want to race full time, or do you want to race part time and spend time with his kids and family and rescue ranch and all of that? That remains to be seen.
So now here's another question to add into there. What's happening with Chris Buescher? I know earlier this year they announced that there was the contract extension with Fastenal, but did that include Chris Buescher as well?
He still has a contract through, I believe it's the end of next year, if I remember correctly.
So Buescher, real quick, Buescher was a strange animal, because he had a clause in his contract when he left Roush and went to what was he at?
He was at Front Row and then
JTG.
JTG and then Roush.
Yeah, when he went to JTG, and I guess Front Row had it too, but at JTG they pulled him back because he has a clause in his contract that if he doesn't have a full-time top 20 ride or whatever it was at the time, that Roush could pull him back. And that's exactly what happened. And so they made him that deal, what was it, 2 years ago? So yeah, he's got, like, as you said, Seth, that deal runs through 2022 is my understanding. We're going back to when all this shook out the last time.
And just to add on to what Newman could do or might do with his engineering degree, not only could he stay at Roush and maybe help improve the team there, but Brad also has that aerospace engineering company that Newman might be able to help out at as well. I could see him working both at CAM and at Roush as well.
Well, CAM is I think aerospace engineering might be a little. It's a 3D. It's a hard metal 3D printing operation, and from my understanding is they have a lot of government contracts that they can't talk about. I mean, I don't know what goes on behind those. I was there at the opening, and I saw some of the cool stuff that they can make. But hard metal 3D printing, that is that's a far step into the advancement. Brad was very smart to do what he did. Yeah. He invested his own money. He wanted to be an entrepreneur. He wanted something that would take care of his future. And I'm betting that the money from CAM is paying for what he's doing with Roush.
He hinted at that at the Hall of Fame. He definitely hinted at that. He said there's nothing that CAM is doing with the team yet. That was the way he worded it.
Well, yeah, because think about this. Oh, gee, I need a part. Hey, Brad, can you make me a part that's honeycombed and 5 times lighter than what we're used to, that's 10 times stronger? Yeah, let me get on it. I'll talk to the guys. An hour later, you have a part. You go test it in concept on the vehicle, put it on a 7-post machine and see if it works. I mean, it's genius. Exactly for not only racing but for every other application that Brad has been able to come up with CAM.
Well, that's all of what Newman might be doing, but I believe our friend Brandon Brown is doing something this weekend, right, Zach?
Yes, he is. Not quite what he's used to doing. From my understanding and what I just heard from his PR person, this is a first for him, but he will be a guest analyst in the booth this Saturday night for the 13th annual Hampton Heat at Larry King's Law Langley Speedway. Something really exciting for him. I mean, obviously he's used to the driving aspects of it, but from what we've heard from Clint Boyer and Gordon and just Harvick and anybody who's been in the booth, they really enjoyed that different side, to see that perspective. Kind of as a fan, they've been fans for a long time, but when it comes to being able to share their knowledge and then also react to this unique race that's happening in front of them in his home state. I mean, it's going to be a fun weekend for Brandon. Definitely taking advantage of the off time for the National Series overall. He'll have multiple autograph sessions, and he's really going to make the most of the weekend. So we wish Brandon the best of luck, and hopefully he has a hell of a Hampton Heat to call from the booth over at Langley.
Did you find out if they pulled my comment because you know, I mean, I wasn't exactly you know, advocating drinking Larry's lemonade, but I'll try some Larry's lemonade if they want to share.
I don't know if they've given. Maybe if you go down the Langley, they'll set you up. But I don't know if maybe we have to set up some kind of giveaway, and hopefully Joey doesn't win the giveaway.
Yeah, I won a giveaway the other day, and I wasn't even trying. I mean, how can I win a giveaway? I'm a member. I own the media site. How can you know? I actually told them, hey, seriously, redraw the numbers. Do not give the. It was an autographed car. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I told them to give it away to somebody else. You know, in other news, Justin, I know you've been covering this all year. The SRX, the Stewart Racing League. I might as well call it that because, you know, Tony went out and won the league that he started. Who couldn't have seen that coming, you know, before he actually dropped the green flag at the first race. But, you know, when you got one of the best drivers in the history of auto racing, you know, running the league and racing every week, that's what happens. What was that finale like? I know that we had some photos from Christian was out there. And basically, I mean, another great weekend of SRX racing.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool because Ray Evernham and Jeff Hammond and a few others kind of chimed in, and people kept asking, so what are you going to do with this racing series? And they said, you know, we're not going to treat it like a racing series. We're going to treat it like a TV series. And I thought that was a little interesting perspective because that's exactly what it was. They brought in some great numbers all year. It was so much fun to watch. A lot of the yellow flags were mainly just for keeping the field tight. I think it was something like every 20, 25 laps of green flag racing, they would throw a yellow just to bunch him back up and get him going. But yeah, that finale was a blast. I thought Bill Elliott, who for some reason just got the crappy car out of the field all year long. They finally got it working. It was basically a fuel issue all year long, all season long, I should say.
Car, right?
Well, it wasn't that they got it working. Ray said he wanted Bill to be able to have fun racing Chase, so he let Bill pick any of the backup cars to run. Oh, that's what it was? And Bill chose Tony's backup.
Nice. Yeah.
No wonder why he's up there flying.
He was driving the purple and orange car because of that.
No, that was so cool to see, and he had Chase down. There was no way Chase was going to get him, but you know, Bill just made that mistake in that one turn and got shuffled back to fourth, but he fought back hard and got back up on the podium. That was cool to see as someone who's raced with family, with my dad and all that stuff. That was cool to see son and dad sharing the podium. But yeah, Stewart ended up getting the season championship, stuff like that. Chase winning the finale. But this was such a fun series. I liked it. I liked a lot of it. It had that iRock feel without the iRock politics. For those who watched iRock, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And, you know, the crew chiefs are on full random draw. All the drivers are on full random draw of qualifying positions. This was very well done. Something short, a nice little summer sprint shootout. I would love to see if they do like a winter series shootout. I am still pushing for a dirt road course. Get out there onto like a hybrid track of some sort. Do something that some of the rallycross series do out here in the Americas. That would be one heck of a track for them to go race at. I'm still going to push that until I see it. But yeah, they are planning to try to get 2 road courses, 2 asphalt ovals, and 2 dirt ovals. That's their plan. Nothing officially announced for an upcoming season, but you know it's going to happen. This was and online too. You see everyone talking about it on Twitter, and not a single complaint out there. Everyone absolutely loved it. So
no complaints because it's new, and you know NASCAR fans like new stuff, and then they like to complain about it. So you know after it's not new anymore.
And you don't have to worry about test dummy rumors, so it was great.
Yeah, and you know I got to finish that editorial. I put it off for a week. I need to get that done. There's actually 2 things that I need to write this weekend. So since we have no racing, maybe I'll put some content on the site. How about that? You speak of new, and you were passing out credentials today for the once the new schedule for 2022 came out with Supercross. You know, I got my memo that I need to check with Justin in order to to get a credential to go to Supercross. I didn't know that until today. So Justin is our new Supercross credential coordinator.
Yeah. You want to do something? Talk to me first. But yeah, Supercross, obviously a couple weeks after they announced that the FIM has dropped them since they're not racing out of the country. But I also think there's other reasons involved in that. I'll keep that to myself. But they're no longer FIM sanctioned, but they have announced a full 2022 schedule, and we are returning to A1. A lot of fans missed that last year, so they're all excited that Anaheim is back as a season opener. They're actually racing Anaheim 3 times this year. So they're doing the first, 5, 6, 7 races out here on the West Coast, and then everything else in the Midwest and out in the Southeast. So lots of good racing for next year. That whole schedule is out. If you want to see the whole schedule, go to kickandtires.net and you'll see the full schedule listed out and all the dates and stuff like that. Tickets for some of the races, I believe, are on sale already, but could be a few more months before all the venues are up for grabs. So keep posted through that, and go get ready to mark your calendars and book your vacation weekends.
Hey, I'm curious about something. You say they're not FIM sanctioned anymore. I'm not so sure that's a bad thing. Just saying.
No, I don't either, especially with how politicized FIM's become. I'll just leave it at that. But I also think it has to do with a lot of the, I wouldn't necessarily say backlash, but a lot of the resistance with how controlling FIM can be at times. And I just don't think a lot of the Supercross riders, a lot of the Supercross teams, a lot of the Supercross body itself didn't want to deal with that. So trust me, every single rider and every single competitor out there will treat a Supercross championship the exact same way. It doesn't need to have FIM on its name. And you see that with a lot of these top competitors right now. Dylan Ferrandis, who's leading the motocross championship right now from France. You've got obviously Ken Roxon, who's a veteran in the sport, got a couple motocross championships, still looking for a Supercross championship, but again, from Germany. And you've got Joe Shimoda, who's in the 250 championship from Japan. So you've got a lot of still very competitive, very top riders who are international riders still coming out to compete in Supercross. So definitely doesn't need to have FIM on its name.
Well, before we move to Seth's iRacing, I will just say this about FIM. I have had to go through the process of getting an FIM credential for one of their MotoGP races. It was a nightmare, the hoops that I had to jump through and the things that I had to provide. So it was great to have hard cards for Supercross, and we appreciate Sean and everything that those guys do over there, and we'll continue to support them. I'm glad they reached out to us because they reached out to us about covering them and seeing what we could work out. And Louis Frank helps with that as well back when it first started. And I'm happy. I'm happy to continue investing in that partnership and kind of continue to promote them and see where it goes.
And I felt that too, because the first year we did that with them was when the pandemic hit. So we didn't really get a full season of showing them what we can do. So I'm really excited for 2022 because now they're back to a normal schedule and we can get back into having probably because it looks like Sarah might be doing 1 or 2 of the races. That would be really cool. And I know Christian has shot a few of the races. They aren't doing Nashville this year, so he's kind of bummed about that. But it looks like we might have people at maybe 2/3 of the races, which would be pretty good for our first quote unquote full year with them, considering 2020 was a nightmare halfway through the season and 2021 was just kind of survival for everyone. So this will be an exciting year for us.
Yeah, I was on a roll. I'd made like 3 in a row almost, and then COVID shut it down. But speaking of things that we sponsor and things that we partner up with, Seth, iRacing, obviously we are in the process of I guess can we call it negotiations with Kicking the Asphalt?
Yeah, we're in negotiations with the Kicking the Asphalt Racing League, which the their asphalt might have an extra S.
Okay, well, here's the thing. That makes me want to sponsor them even more. So I'm going to break the story right now. We're going to sponsor them for the agreed information that I have. We will be sponsoring them. Send them word that it was the extra S, that it was, the extra letter got me over the hill to go ahead and say that we will take care of it. I'll get them a check out in a few weeks. But yeah, breaking news here on Kicking the Tires, because we didn't have a whole lot else going on. But we will go ahead and sponsor Kicking the Asphalt.
Yay, another sponsorship announcement. Woo! Where's the confetti?
And also this week, I'm not just talking iRacing, but also a little bit more esports on the console side as well. We got our first teaser of the new NASCAR console game Motorsports Games is creating. Motorsports Games also announced for the first time in 17 years an IndyCar console game will be made. And the new F1 game also just launched from Codemasters, which is now owned by Electronic Arts, if I remember correctly. And
EA Sports.
Yep. And it has a whole new storyline in it. There's some new features that if you want to go and check it out, I believe The Race on YouTube did a full breakdown on it. So go and check that out. Not that I'm trying to plug another outlet, but they have it's like a 30, 40 minute breakdown of it. So I don't have the time to really do it here. But iRacing wise, in the Monday Night Racing League, Garrett Smithley ended up being in the playoffs after Shane Van Gisbergen did not show up. And then on the final lap, did a pass through the grass to win and lock himself into the next round.
Good for Garrett Smithley.
Yeah,
that's my buddy.
He passed Anthony Alfredo and Adam Cabot through the grass on the final lap.
Hey, anything goes on the final lap, brother.
Yeah, Earnhardt is smiling in his grave.
He didn't pass anybody.
Riverside? Excuse me?
But that was the third, to be fair. Anyway, the race went caution-free for the first 88 or so laps until
88.
Yeah, ironically, until our friend Daniel Dye dumped front stretch rider Michael Massey.
Oh darn!
And my wheel decided to start dying on me at that moment. So I couldn't steer around Massey, slammed into him, and then took the 2 leaders with me. So sorry to Raj Karut and Josh Slade. I can't help that the gear in my wheel decided to fail at that exact moment.
So it's funny that you mentioned Daniel Dye, because I just got a press announcement earlier today. Racewin Media Availability, Daytona Beach native won Saturday's ARCA Menard Series race in his second start. Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern time, there's going to be a Zoom conference with Daniel. So maybe Christian Coley can sign into that. I know I think we had Daniel on the show a while back, didn't we?
Yes, we did. I want to say it was back in March, maybe?
Yeah, like he's friends with Ben Kennedy.
Might have been February.
Yeah, he's real tight with Ben Kennedy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So.
And the final bit of iRacing news, our friends Parker Klingerman and Landon Castle, their organization eRacer, debuted its first multi-week series, the eRacer Roval Racing Series. The first race was at the Texas Motor Speedway Road Course Combined Circuit. Matt Danson from Australia won overall. Brian Zabelski, I think I pronounced his name correctly, he made a last lap pass on Matt Taylor that I'm pretty sure you can go and watch now.
Oh boy, okay, we got this.
damn it, my chips again. Oh, I'm third.
Let's go! Yeah!
That was fun. That's fun, Nick.
And guess who won't be racing in the iRacing E-Racer Roval series because I can't turn right and left. I can barely turn left. So
You can barely go straight.
I can go straight into the wall.
But
I'm good at that.
But anyway, Zabelski won the B-class division because it's a multi-class series, and David Grantham in the truck climbed from 25th overall to finish 10th overall, beating somewhere around half of the Cup car field and almost the entire Xfinity car field in the race.
You know who else beat half the entire field this weekend?
Who?
At New Hampshire? Me.
Yes, you did.
Can you refresh me my I'm trying to hear. Can you refresh what the scores are? I'm sorry.
Just skip over him and let his gloat go away.
Yeah, please.
How'd you do, Justin?
How about this? Jerry, you have a 38-point lead over me.
Woohoo! Justin, how did you do?
You paid Kyle Busch to do that.
I paid Kyle Busch to drive into the wall on a wet track.
How the heck can it be raining for 2 laps and you don't throw a yellow flag? Like, come on.
What I was going to say is I feel bad for Kip Childress because he was reporting, that it was misting. And then right when he said that it started getting heavier, NASCAR looked around, they went to throw the caution, and before they could hit the button, Kyle Busch and Truex were already spinning.
You know, I will say this. I watched what OD had to say, and Kip, I couldn't come up with a GIF quick enough of a bus and someone getting thrown under it, because that's what I felt like. I mean, look, I like Steve. OD's a great guy. And they made a mistake, and they admitted they made a mistake. It happens. I'm not sure how they missed the whole pooling of water in between turn 1 and 2 at the bottom of the track, but it was weepers, and that they've been working on that for a while, from what I understand. But man, I felt bad for Kip Childress. I really did. Zach, what were your thoughts? Did you see the OD get on TV, and did you even see Kyle hit the wall?
I did, yeah. Obviously, just watching from home, just like everybody. But I felt bad for Joe Gibbs because all 3 cars that spun were Gibbs cars, which was so weird. It was Kyle from the lead, Truex second, and then my pick, Denny Hamlin, got spun. But I felt great at that point because Denny is the best comeback racer in the Cup Series. Usually when he has an early issue, he always comes back from it. This one, it didn't quite work out well. What happened?
Well, he came back from it, and then during the final pit stop or final one between stages 2 and 3, a lug nut got caught between the wheel and the hub, I think, or something like that, and he had to come back in for them to change the tire again.
You know what won't happen next year? Wait. You know what won't happen next year? You won't have a lug nut get caught between the tire and the wheel anymore.
Yep.
Crazy stuff like that won't happen and cost drivers races.
At least in the Cup Series.
At least in the Cup Series.
Then again, there's a loose lug nut. It's going to be a terrible accident.
No. Y'all don't understand how this works. So the way that they're designing this lug nut, it's very similar to how F1 and IndyCar are. The lug nut can only back off so far. So if it's loose, it'll be loose, and the car can make it around the track. But there's lockers that are in place that will hold the tire and wheel onto the spindle.
It'll fall off.
Well, here's a good.
It's not supposed
to.
No,
yeah, so the way it's built is a lot like with our go-karts, where you basically have a pin that's got very, very minimal space, which you actually put spacers on the actual spindle for the front tires. Then you put the front tire on, then you put the final lug nut on, which has hex cording on the top, and then you put a pin, like a knocker pin through that. That's almost pretty much the same concept, except the knocker pins are built into the actual studs themselves.
Yeah, these are
prevents
spring loaded that come out. So when you put the tire on, because I ask a very, let's just say I ask a 3-time NASCAR champion this question. He might own a team. And when you put the tire on, it pushes the pin. When it's on the axle, it pushes the pins in. And once it gets past that and they clamp down, the lug goes past that pin and they spread out. So the only way that you can make the pins go back is when you put the gun on it and it presses them in and then it comes off. So that's going to save a lot of problems with loose wheels and things like that, because you'll only hit it once. I mean, you hit it, it's on, you're gone.
And what I was going to say is that although it's rare in F1 and IndyCar and even supercars in Australia, loose wheels do still occur. It's rare, and typically they don't come flying off. The most that will happen is a vibration, and typically you feel it before you even leave pit road. So that would be enough time maybe for them to pull the car back and change it. Whether or not it causes any damage to the suspension, I guess is to be seen.
Well, see, when you think about a car, an IndyCar or F1 coming off, usually those wheels come off when someone hits it. It's very rare that they come off by themselves, like they grind that pin off. Theoretically, that can happen, but it's supposed to be those safety measures are supposed to be built into this new system, and that's one of the reasons why NASCAR is several reasons why they're going to the new design with a single lug. But that safety aspect of it is one of those reasons. The other is to have the really cool wheels, because we've been limited to steel wheels in that fashion for so long, simply for a safety aspect. It wasn't that we didn't want cool looking rims or bigger tires. It's just that those lugs, that's all we could use on those steel wheels.
Well, usually in IndyCar or F1, when they do fall off completely, it's when they're exiting pit road. Like it's right after, and it's when there was a gun issue or something like that. But that's good to hear the more technical aspect of it. I hope it works out better than IndyCar. I mean, it is rare, but it's also super rare for NASCAR to have wheels come flying. I can't think of it happening more than once a year, if ever. So I just hope it's not something that becomes an issue. Like we saw it with Graham Rahal at the Indy 500 last year, Buddy Lazier a few years ago, and it's super, super dangerous. So I definitely have full hope or full trust in NASCAR that they're going to make sure it's not an issue. But I just seeing from you just saying that it's similar to the open wheel side, I just hope we don't have, a handful of issues like those series have every year.
Well, if you'll remember, it was a wheel coming off at Dover that ended Brad Keselowski's Truck Series team. He said that if he has to pay that fine, it could very well shut him down. Shortly after that, I spoke with him at New Hampshire, and that day was coming, and he announced later that week that he was and told his guys that he was shutting down his Truck Series team. And the fines that NASCAR put into place were so stiff for wheels coming off of cars when it was no fault of their own. Brad that was one of the reasons that Brad said, hey, this isn't worth it. So then they weren't making any money in the Truck Series back then. Yeah. So I think this safety aspect with a single lug, I know fans are like, oh, it's not traditional. Let me tell you something. You got to grow. You got to change. You got to advance. I'm y'all know I have the marketing company, and I'm telling my clients every day, print media is good, but it's not what it used to be. It's not dead, but we need to get out of print media and take, give me $100,000 of your $4 million budget for print media, and let me try to throw it to some digital aspects. And it's starting to pay off. And that's why we've got to, in order to advance, in order to get better, in order to make things, the sport as a whole, we got to change. That means you might have to rip up a speedway too. Last I checked, Marcus Smith didn't come into NASCAR fans' houses and say, hey, I don't like your couch there. You need to move it over, across the room. So I could take this way beyond just, the one lug nut issue, the new car issue, the Gen 7, whatever. There's a whole lot of stuff that, and I kind of touched on this last week with the fans as a whole. We need to look at how to make NASCAR better, not how to break down everybody that's involved in the sport because we don't like something that's being changed. I'm leading the points.
Yeah, you're leading the points. And like I've said, I'm second, 38 points behind. Jerry has 761 points. I have 723. In third is Sarah with 709. Justin has 708. Zach has 707. And Rachel has 705.
Oh my gosh. Jeez. That 1 point really screwed me.
And then it's another about 30-point gap because Summer is in, I think it's 7th with 674. Christian behind her with 672. And although he's still last, he's starting to catch up to the back of the field. Matt with 643.
But, I mean, if you average, a 10th place finish every week, then you're going to catch up with us eventually.
Well, he's actually been making picks lately. And he's been finishing, let's see, in his past 3 weeks when he's made picks. 2nd, win, 7th.
Look, I thought I went out on a limb this week in picking Ryan Blaney. That wasn't a lock. So,
meanwhile, I went with Chase after saying that Keselowski hasn't been running well. Keselowski finishes 3rd, Chase finishes 18th.
Yeah, and Zach obviously your guy got in the early wreck, but he bounced back a little bit. I mean, he bounced back real well for a while, and then a little bit. And then Justin, your guys down in the islands playing, tap the bumper.
Oh my gosh!
That
was weird.
No.
Samantha Bush's reel on Instagram. Oh my gosh!
Well, it just got retweeted by me from NASCAR Chasm.
Well, wait. And then if you check out Kyle Bush's reel on Instagram, it is a picture of a wet floor sign with the comment "Wet track, caution is out."
I want to get that reel and put like the Weird Al Yankovic song where it's like white and nerdy or whatever.
God. Well, again, do you notice something there in these talks, especially like when I go on a rant or you guys are like being, almost politically correct? Zach just sits there stoically and just like observes. Zach doesn't want trouble. Zach's just like, I'm glad to be a part of this, but y'all go ahead and have fun. I've got an acting career.
Hey, Zach, talk about that Aric Almirola win messing up the playoffs again.
That is exactly what I wanted to see. Exactly what, and I felt like we were gonna see it. Like when it came to getting a new winner who was gonna as soon as I saw that those RCR guys had like 120-point lead over the bubble, I'm like, first off, I wanted it to happen terribly. Because I want this to be exciting going down to the end. It always is with Daytona at the very end. I love that Daytona ended it. It was a hell of a race last year, and it's going to be a hell of a race this year. But, this makes it, really exciting going in. And we still got, Chastain, Benedetto. They're going to have to win in circumstance, I feel. But I would have said that about Almirola before this weekend.
Well, here's the thing. There's still 4 races left. There's only 4 spots left in the playoffs, if I remember correctly.
3.
There's 3, okay.
3.
So
and right now it's being held by Hamlin, who's got like a 245-point gap.
Harvick
is only up by 80-something, so that's something to keep in note of because...
Well, here's what I was going to say. There's still a possibility, somehow, that we could get more than 16 winners or exactly 16. And if the regular season champion is not one of those winners, he's still locked in, bumping one of the winners out.
Mm-hmm.
That would be chaotic and almost bring up a baker's dozen scenario of adding Jeff Gordon years ago to the.
I don't think they do that again.
I don't think they would do it again either. But I'm just saying.
Which to add into that, remember Larson's been on a hot streak and Hamlin's been pretty inconsistent lately. And if we do get those 16 winners and Larson does beat Hamlin to the regular season championship, that means we get those 16 winners in and Hamlin's not in it.
I was going to say, going by that, there's a scenario that both Hamlin and Harvick could actually miss the playoffs if we get more than 16 winners and neither of them are the regular season champion.
Yeah, let's see. We've got Watkins Glen. We have
Indy
GP. We got the Indy GP and
Michigan.
Oh, Michigan. Okay. So
and Daytona.
Yeah, I said Daytona. I said Watkins Glen and Daytona. I didn't remember the middle two exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're talking about the Indy GP, which the Cup guys haven't raced at. So that's one new track. I
was going to say that would essentially be a free for all to a certain degree.
Hey,
Watkins Glen. No, Xfinity did.
Okay.
Yeah,
covering the old
last year.
Okay.
But yeah, then you've got Watkins Glen, which sure, that's, Chase Elliott's on his road course streak, but it's also like, hey, you saw Christopher Bell win the Daytona road course earlier this year. So
and you saw Larson and win Sonoma, and Matty Benedetto run very, very well at Road America.
And I'm curious to see who's going to do this 2-mile oval here at Michigan because, we haven't really done a 2-mile oval this year yet. So, gosh, that's going to be one that's out in left field.
The only other 2-mile oval is your track that they're demolishing out of California.
Which we haven't raced at in, 3 years now, it feels like.
Although, something else I do want to point out real quick. California just recently started actually sending out reminders for tickets for next year with the date, and looking at that and looking at the other previously announced dates, I almost think either California sent out the wrong date or Homestead did, because they're both claiming the same weekend.
Wait, what?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna look this up right now.
Well, do it off the show. Awkward time lapse of kicking the tire show.
I'm not cutting this part out. Just to say that would actually be really funny.
Somebody and they bring their phone out.
They both have February 27th listed. So either one changed or one forgot to change the date of their race in the email that they sent out.
Well, the next time I'm on a press conference with somebody at NASCAR, I'll ask that question. But I wonder if anybody else noticed it. Maybe you should go online and do a video tweet, like a tweet video ahead of Bob Pockris and see and let everybody know that you caught it.
Well, I'd do that if I knew how to do that.
Okay, so I am on Auto Club Speedway's website, and I went to go buy tickets for the Cup for the NASCAR weekend, and it does say date TBD. So,
and meanwhile, I know I saw something earlier that said the 27th, and it was from Auto Club.
Always keep those emails and text. Screenshot that stuff.
I'm scrolling back through this chat to get to it.
Awesome, because that stuff is like gold.
Yeah.
It's the gift you can use. To show them, hey, somebody wasn't thinking here, or y'all up to something and we don't know nothing about it.
But yeah, and it looks like Homestead has taken off their date because now they say race weekend date and time are tentative, pending the full 2022 NASCAR schedule release. So
Very
it looks like someone did call them out, and then they've pulled the dates because I'm not seeing dates on Homestead's site either.
And I know they were there earlier today.
If people are watching the show and they stuck around this long, you just learned something here on the Kicking Show. And we're going to call it quits for tonight because I think we've gone on long enough. Plus, I'm hungry. So you guys have a great evening. Thanks for listening and watching us here on the Kicking Show and tuning in every week. Remember, like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on social media. at Kicking the Tires, and we will continue to bring you news from the track and around the country.